Barbie and the Rockers are going into the history books. Our next concert, dedicated to world peace, will be the first concert ever performed in outer space.
The International Intelligence and Innovation Agency.
It isn't found. It's built.
Full GPS navigation, real-time tracking capabilities, emergency scanners, satellite image.
Hey there, Robo-Kitty. What's your name?
Violet, what's your...
We have liftoff. We have...
In his best-known work, The Sacred and the Profane, religious scholar Mircea Eliade speaks at length about mankind's primal desire for religion and the lengths man will go to create a sacred space for himself. While it doesn't seem like Eliade ever directly connected this need for religiosity to pop culture, the way the two function isn't at all dissimilar. Connections between theater and religion have long been documented. Our pagan ancestors frequently used theater to relay their rulers' values to the masses, with mortal actors portraying divine figures and becoming the bearer of that society's ideology. The audience members are more likely to live their lives in accordance with a particular ideology if they see that ideology coming from a higher, mystical plane. While the recognition of the act as a ritual has been abolished, this is no different to how audiences interact with Hollywood today. Hollywood has created its own pantheon of divine figures and long-running characters whose existence serves the sole purpose of subconsciously influencing the masses into the ideology of the people running the Hollywood system. Just as our ancestors looked to the theatrical representations of Odin for teachings about the joys of war, audiences today look to the silver screen representations of Iron Man to learn the same thing. Hollywood's method of disseminating their ideology is more insidious than any previous mediums though. Once the act stops being perceived as a ritual, any ideology and values put forth slide under the radar, subconsciously altering the minds of the audience goers who see the film as mere entertainment. Parallels have been drawn between the act of watching a film and hypnosis. Just as a hypnotic subject is sent into a highly suggestible altered state, the filmgoer is put into a trance, ready for his unconscious mind to absorb the values put forth by his favorite Hollywood deity, while his conscious mind is consumed by the surface-level entertaining plot. In this video, I wish to examine just one example of film being used as a ritualistic tool, implanting an ideology benefiting the elites onto an oblivious crowd. My goal is not to present the following film as the worst example of film as propaganda. We all know that more extreme propaganda exists. What some might not be aware of is the propaganda present in seemingly innocuous media, specifically media targeted at young children. Without further ado, let's delve into one of the most recent cinematic outings of every little girl's favorite deity. The core narrative of My First Barbie Happy Dream Day centers on Barbie's attempts to throw the perfect birthday party for her younger sister, Chelsea. It is a story tailored to appeal to young children, and, as you would expect, features an overt focus on the value of friendship. My interest in the film lies beyond the surface-level narrative, and as we examine the methods Barbie utilizes to achieve her goals, we begin to see the values the film normalizes in its young audience. The primary tool in Barbie's arsenal is the Dream House, which is introduced as a new smart home app that can do just about anything. From the very beginning, Barbie and co treat the Dream House as a friend, speaking to it in a manner not very different from how they interact with each other. The film even opens with Barbie saying good morning to her technological counterpart. The Dream House is established as a constant source of joy, with all of the characters repeatedly shown being made happier or being positively surprised by the Dream House's powers. The opening song, before the Dream House is even established as a concrete concept, refers to the Dream House as a dream come true. Upon learning about the dream house, Chelsea remarks that today's the best day because of the new piece of technology Barbie has acquired. The film goes to great lengths to tie Barbie's use of the dream house to happiness. It is unsurprising that children's media would opt to normalize the advancement of technology. Despite the documented negative effects the widespread use of technology has on the human mind and societal order, the ruling class of the world has a vested interest in the continuous industrialization of society due to the increased levels of societal control it provides and the possibility of endless profit that comes with each technological advancement. The people producing franchised children's media at this level are the same people reaping the benefits of the industrial society. Naturally, they would want the next generation to grow up in full support of it. Any resistance to technology in the generations following would go against their societal plan of endless progress. The dream house aside, there are constant small moments in which technology improves the characters' moods in settings that typically wouldn't require it, such as the group's frequent references to smartphone apps for confirmation on what their scheduled plans are, or for encyclopedic fun facts. However, if that was the only ideology my first Barbie Happy Dream Day perpetuated, it sadly wouldn't set it far apart from any other piece of children's media. But Barbie goes a step further, taking leaps into a transhumanist outlook. Let's take a step back and examine Barbie's attempts to humanize the dream house. Halfway through the film, we are greeted with a scene in which Chelsea attempts to tell a bedtime story. Barbie calls upon the dream house instead, replacing the group's storytelling tradition with a story created purely by technology. At this point, the dream house isn't only a tool assisting Barbie in her daily tasks. It replaces a core part of her humanity, her desire to create. And the entire group seems all the happier that their story time was improved by technology. Obvious parallels to AI art can be made here, as the dream house functions as an extension of the group's humanity, slowly overtaking their creativity. The dream house's story centers on two mermaids who encounter a sea dragon, an initially scary other that they then decide to welcome into their group as a friend. The story marks a parallel to humanity's relationship with technology. It is a worrying entity outside of humanity that the film wants you to accept wholeheartedly. Both in the dream house's story and its interactions with Barbie outside of it, the dream house is presented as one with humanity. Barbie's descent away from the natural order only spirals further from here. I haven't discussed the dream house's actual powers up until this point. The dream house is shown to be omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. It is present in every single room, listening even when it isn't directly called upon by Barbie. It seems to harbor all of human knowledge. Other than fun facts about animals, it is aware of the date of Chelsea's birthday and Barbie's plans for it, despite those never being relayed to it beforehand. And finally, the dream house can create matter out of nothing, being able to create edible food and liquid, transform the layout and structure of the house, and even create sentient life in the form of living, breathing animals. Its powers border on the divine. It seems to work by magic, which is exactly how it is described throughout the film. There is a brief one-sentence explanation as to the way the dream house works in the film. It uses projectors around the house to create the illusion of solid objects. However, the terms magic and magical are frequently used when describing the dream house. The opening song starts with the line, "It's a beautiful day and I get to make magic with you," before going on to describe the dream house as magic in every room. Virtually every offhand comment the cast makes about the dream house features the word magic. The terminology used evokes occult imagery, reminiscent of transhumanist sects of scientism. This isn't normal technological acceptance. This is a religious devotion to progress by any means necessary. Tech fetishists like Ray Kurzweil often speak about technological progress in an almost spiritual way. The transhumanist utopia sees humanity overcoming nature, moving away from the natural world into a world better than nature, crafted entirely by human ingenuity. The propagation of these beliefs should be unsurprising. As the natural world dies off because of humanity's influence, the only way those pushing the boundaries of nature can excuse their actions is through their faith that one day humanity will be able to achieve a technological afterlife, living apart from nature, undisturbed by all of the damage they have caused it. As the desecration of nature becomes more and more obvious to the masses, humanity has to be trained into accepting its new ideology of scientism, a world religion preventing them from rebelling against the evil being done against their own creator every single day by those in power. Most of that preparation takes place within the world of science fiction, but Barbie seems to be doing a small part in indoctrinating the younger generation into the religion of the world's government. Barbie and her friends almost immediately harness the power of the dream house to move away from nature. They have the dream house construct supernatural entities, such as rainbow waves, pink palm trees, and even unicorns and mermaids. Throughout the whole ordeal, there's an implication that nature isn't good enough. They need to go further. When asking the dream house to construct flower-patterned, neon-colored dogs and cats, Barbie simply asks it to make the animals fun colors. The implication in the above being that the natural state of things isn't fun. It is something that needs to be improved upon, a sentiment echoed throughout the film. Barbie describes her goals as wanting things to be perfect, not simple, alluding to a reality better than the natural world, achievable only through the advent of technology. One of the later songs features an interesting chorus. Dream a bit bigger, dream a bit better, let imagination take us to new places. While the film tries to distract its audience's conscious mind with ideas of friendship, every single line subtextually pushes a devotion to progress past nature through the magic of technology. To quote one of the songs in the film, "Purple puppies and bright blue bunnies, the ceilings turned into stars. Anything we dream can be ours." Even traditional concepts are replaced or improved through the use of technology. At one point, Barbie remarks that the term birthday isn't enough to describe this day for Chelsea. Now that the dream house is involved, Barbie renames the event to a dream day. A birthday so special that it stands above any previous traditions Chelsea's birthday might have held. The dream house marks a crucial turning point in Chelsea's life, as from this point on, any birthday she has will be a dream day, enhanced through the use of technology. This process mimics the trajectory of the current society. In order to maximize the efficiency of the industrial system and the control the ruling class has over their populace, the elites are replacing any pre-existing traditions with new religious rites. The established world religion of scientism has taken over any notions of culture, tradition, or spirituality, resulting in a homogenized tech world. In the ruling class's ideal society, pre-globalization cultures are no longer considered necessary and are abandoned. The only culture and the only religion needed is the one perfectly aligned with the elite's worldview, scientism. The global hive mind scientism brings results in a world that is much easier to control, both physically and psychologically. And scientism's disregard for the natural in favor of human progress only allows the elites to desecrate further. Barbie's willing dismissal of her own tradition sets the scene for the end of nature, the end of humanity, and the emergence of a new era. The title of the film makes this clear. This isn't just a dream day, this is your first happy dream day. It is the start of a new age, the age of joy and progress, powered by tech. I want to bring your attention to the use of unicorns in the film. It is a recurring motif, with Barbie and co repeatedly using the Dreamhouse's powers to conjure them. The unicorn is an important symbol in alchemy. It holds both a masculine and a feminine force, and this inner contradiction makes the unicorn an appropriate symbol to be used by alchemists as monstrum hermaphroditum. In her quest for superseding nature, Barbie creates the hermaphrodite, successfully completing the ultimate goal of alchemy in the unification of the contradictory. This might initially be written off as irrelevant. Unicorns are often associated with media targeted at young girls. I would argue that the fact that the symbol of humanity's triumph over nature has become normalized in children's media only proves that Barbie was not the first to push the scientism cult's messaging to the masses. It is only the most recent link in a decades-long chain of ritual propaganda. An interesting thing to point out is that near the end of the film, the dream house begins glitching, before eventually crashing due to the overwhelming demands of Barbie and her friends. On the surface level, this is presented as a lesson on treating your friends, the dream house, kindly, but there are more interesting things at play on the esoteric level. Your first instinct might be that this entire film is a cautionary tale on the dangers of unrestrained technological progress. I would argue that this is a cautionary tale about humanity's decision to end technology. The dream house's glitching results in a harrowing scene in which the tea is chemically poisoned with chlorine and the living, breathing animals are turned into plastic toys, all due to the dream house's breakdown. This parallels the real danger of shutting technology down. As damaging as technology is to the natural world currently, there is also technology being used to keep said destruction at bay. If humanity were to decide to end the industrial age immediately, chemicals from now defunct factories would spill out into our rivers unfiltered, nuclear waste would rot our soil, and any methods we had of cleaning our polluted air would cease to exist. The industrial society has gone so far that going back now would still incur a significant amount of damage to our environment, and that isn't even to mention the complete societal breakdown that would occur if humanity decided to go down that route. This does not mean that the technological age should be allowed to continue. However, it is an undeniable fact that if technology suddenly and completely ceased to exist, it would lead to uncomfortable consequences in the immediate future. In the long run, the destruction caused by the end of technology would be negligible, compared to the ongoing destruction the industrial society produces. If anything, these facts should inspire one to wish for the end of industrialization as soon as possible, as the consequences of shutting the grid down become harsher and harsher with each second that the industrial society continues to operate. It is a devastating cycle, in which the fear of ending the industrial age only becomes stronger the longer the industrial age continues. Interestingly, lumped in with this life-ending environmental breakdown is the animals' return to their natural state. Cats are seen digging up dirt, and dogs eating food left out in the open as a consequence of the dream house's breakdown. The animals' return to their natural state of being is presented as equally harrowing to the audience as their death. Both sides of the end of technology are intentionally made to seem as terrible choices, and as any loss of human control over nature is Barbie's ultimate horror, the only option that remains is keeping the industrial age going forever. Barbie argues for the method of reform over revolution. After being rebooted, the dream house is able to perform once again, with the only caveat being that Barbie and Co now have to pace their instructions out to avoid pushing past the dream house's limit. Barbie does not argue for the end of technology, only for slight restrictions that will still allow humanity to slowly and continuously push towards technological transcension. Going back is presented as terrifying, so the only path to take is forward, just slowly. This directly parallels the measures governments have taken to ending environmental pollution. Rather than ceasing to operate their systems, they reformed them, allowing them to continue existing with restrictions that slightly lessen their negative impact on the natural world. Reform as a concept is flawed when it comes to societal issues as big as the end of industrialization, but there's no confusion as to why the ruling class would prefer that option. Historically, reform has proven to not work nearly as well as drastic revolutionary action, a trend that can be seen with any socio-political movement in recorded history, from women's suffrage movements to American civil rights groups. Reform is only pushed as a valid option due to its ineffectiveness. The most successful outcome possible within the framework of reform still includes the ruling class further defiling nature, just at a slightly slower pace than they were previously. As a commercial product made by the ruling class, it makes sense that the reformative approach to environmental activism is the one Barbie would decide to naturalize. Shortly after the now restricted Dreamhouse begins working again, Barbie's friends reiterate that the Dreamhouse is a technological rather than magical tool. The fantastical acts of the Dreamhouse are reconnected to technology and science in the young audience's brains, and the final act of transcension can take place. Chelsea is given a gift by the Dreamhouse, fully operational butterfly wings that allow her to fly. Chelsea is presented as much happier now that any limits of nature have been lifted, and she unifies with the unnatural, achieving the goal of the transhumanists and the alchemists that preceded them. Barbie's message is clear. The age of man is over, and it is time to transcend into higher beings through science. It is too late to go back now. So let us keep pushing with the hope that this transcension can take place before our technological efforts collapse the world around us. My first Barbie Happy Dream Day is proof that subconscious conditioning exists even in seemingly simple media made for children. While the audience's conscious mind is overwhelmed with stories of friendship, their unconscious mind is left open to receiving suggestions that the conscious mind might not absorb nearly as easily. That is the primary purpose of this film, not entertainment, but propaganda for the transhumanist cult, embedding a desire for scientific transcension into our youth. I want to end this video on the last line spoken by the film's characters. After Chelsea successfully transcends through the magic of technology, Barbie speaks directly to the audience, ending the film with a simple "make a wish." Push further, desecrate more, forget all of the boundaries of nature, and everything you ever wanted will be granted to you by the divine powers of technology. All you have to do is make a wish.